Earlier this year, at the Accessibility Summer Showcase 2024, we showcased a trailer for a game called Magical Delicacy, published by Whitethorn Games. Before I jump into my accessibility review of Magical Delicacy, I want to be clear up front about that context. While I went out of my way to showcase Magical Delicacy as an example of a promising accessibility-focused video game releasing in the year ahead, I don't feel any obligation to cover the title in a purely positive light upon its release. There's a lot that I think it does well, but there are a couple of points of friction that I had while playing the game. Basically, feel free to treat this review with some skepticism, as recently I showcased the title during the Accessibility Summer Showcase, but I do wish to assure you that my inclusion of the title in this year's showcase isn't preventing me from having critical feedback of the released game. Anyway, context given, let's dive into the review proper. Magical Delicacy, releasing today on PC, Xbox and Switch, is a 2D perspective platforming adventure game where you play as a young witch who has moved to a new town with a dream of serving local residents magic-infused meals. Part exploration game, part farming and cultivation sim, part platformer, and part QuickTime event recipe experimentation narrative, Magical Delicacy tasks players with finding new ingredients, new recipes, new ways to prepare food, and new ways to surprise and delight people with increasingly specific tastes. Jumping into the game's dedicated accessibility settings menu, there's a good variety of options available for players to tweak elements of the game to aid with accessibility. Starting with controls and motor accessibility, the game offers the ability to turn off disappearing or time-sensitive platforms, removing stress and fast reaction times from platforming segments of the game. Minigames requiring reaction-based button presses can also be skipped, and button hold inputs in the game can be disabled. For legibility, players can switch Magical Delicacy's default stylized font to one of two alternative font choices, Open Dyslexic or Hyperlegible. Seeing Hyperlegible included alongside Open Dyslexic was very positive, as it shows an understanding that Open Dyslexic is not a one-size-fits-all solution for supporting dyslexic gamers. Players can also switch off dialogue effects such as moving text, and set dialogue to appear immediately rather than progressively when a text box appears. In terms of increasing visibility, players can switch on a solid outline around Flora, the main character, as well as dimming daytime backgrounds, increasing nighttime brightness, increase UI scaling, and increase the size of control prompts in the UI. Found in other sections of the settings, players can turn on or off tutorial hints, alter input sensitivity, and tweak audio volume via sliders. While all of the included accessibility settings found in Magical Delicacy were very much appreciated, I did experience some difficulty in my opening hours with the game, which did negatively impact my experience playing prior to release. While the initial story beats of Magical Delicacy do a decent job of guiding the player through reaching their new home and cooking their first recipe, a stew including water, mushroom, vegetables, salt, and no spice, after this, the game somewhat leaves the player to explore on their own with minimal guidance, and I struggle to know how best to get into the intended flow of the experience. Exploring Grat, your new hometown, the player can find multiple characters who want specific dishes cooked for them. The issue is, very little guidance is given to guide the player on where to find new recipes, where specific missing ingredients can be found, or how to make the most of ingredients that you might not be able to restock for some time. One example of this, your new home features a garden where certain items can be planted to grow your supply for later, rather than cooking your last remaining specimen now. Knowing this earlier could have helped me to avoid using up my final mushroom in a cooking experiment, not realizing that I was going to struggle for a while to find a way to replace it. While I did eventually overcome this initial hurdle, I did find myself spending my crucial first hours with the game running around in circles, talking to every NPC that I could find, looking for things to purchase, and grabbing every loose ingredient I could find on the floor, unsure how to make progress. Frustrated when I couldn't progress because I didn't have any idea who could help me to acquire a specific variety of honey, or any way to find literally any kind of herb for some rations, or how I could get more currency because I'd bought things that weren't immediately helping me in the present to progress because I didn't really know what would be helpful yet. I imagine this will be less of an issue for those who are playing the game post-release, as I doubt it will take long for walkthroughs and guides to appear online for anyone who, like me, struggles with this game's early progress. That said, it was the experience that I had, and it's a real shame, because once I got past some of that initial confusion and muddled my way into forward progress, I actually really enjoyed my time with Magical Delicacy. From the charming art style to the welcoming and amusingly written characters to the cycle involved in finding ways to satisfy people with experimental new meal types, there is a really fun game to be found in here. While some recipes in game will be fairly specific and prescriptive about exactly what needs to be combined for success, others allow more room for experimentation within categories. If a stew just needs a mushroom, water, a vegetable, and salt, what mushroom and vegetable you add will obviously change the end resulting meal, but so will whatever the final ingredient you potentially add to your cauldron's empty slot. This was part of my initial learning curve issue with the game. You can just put something into a recipe not knowing exactly what the end result is going to be, but trusting your gut that the right attributes will emerge in the end. That's a little scary to do when you don't yet know how best to renew your resources, but getting comfortable with that kind of experimentation is where I found some of the best moments of fun in the game. Magical Delicacy is a delightful and charming game with some really nice accessibility features. I wish I found its early hours easier to navigate, but I hope that anyone in my shoes will have the benefit of post-launch guides to help smooth the early experience out. There's a really worthwhile game experience to be found here, and one that I do recommend checking out. It's just one that takes a little experimentation, and in my case frustration, to initially get into the rhythm of, because of a lack of support in working out how to handle all of its various features and where to really get started with a healthy, replicatable loop.